Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Chirping on Causeway, brought to you by Boston Sports Internet Entertainment Network. Sorry. My name is Liv, and you can find me on Twitter at Front Frederick. You can find the network at BSCN_617 on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. I'm very excited today because I have two really cool guests. And they've helped me a lot in this whole podcast world and just getting set up and getting comfortable. So I'm very excited to have them on. So I have Mel and Sully from Something's Bruin. And yeah, I'm excited to have you guys on. They've had me on a couple times for their wicked awesome roundtables, which are always a good time. So I'm very excited to have them. And we got lots to talk about. Not a lot of good stuff. But stuff. We got a lot to talk about. So
yeah, definitely some stuff. But thank you very, very much for having us on. We were pumped to do this. We love having you on the roundtable. It's always, good conversations around the Bruins. It's always a fun time. And yeah, I'm just really happy that we're here tonight.
Yeah, I know this is cool. I know I've been following you on Twitter for a long time, so it's cool. I know it was cool to have you on the roundtable for the first time and talk with you. And also the intro video to this thing was sick. I don't know who put that together, but I was like, holy shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. That
was awesome.
Thank you.
But no, we're definitely excited to be on and we appreciate you having us.
Thanks for coming. And I'm glad that Sully, you have your cat today. I'm happy to see
she's all ready. She's ready to talk some bees.
Look at her.
She's just as mad as us. She's she's got a lot of meows to say over here. Where do we want to go back to Four Nations? Do we want to do a little? Should we even do we want to talk Charlie McAvoy injury? Do we want to talk that why they left McDavid open right in? What even was that?
I think TD Garden's cursed. I think it's cursed. I think it's Binnington's building. I think he owns the building. I think he signed the lease with the Jacobs family to help run the place and get wins when he can.
I don't know if it's a TD Garden curse. I choose to believe that it's the Austin Matthews curse. And the hex on Matthews and TD Garden was just stronger than the opposite. But he was the one who left McDavid wide open in front of the net. Yeah. And it's funny too, because I was even seeing closeted Maple Leafs fans being like, all right, we gotta talk about Matthews. He just can't win the big game. It doesn't matter if it's in the playoffs, if it's the Four Nations facing off thing, he just can't do it. And it because Sully and I were saying it was the epic battle of Leafs, who's gonna crap themselves first between him and Mitch Marner. And Marner played really well, so I think maybe Toronto knows who their problem is.
I agree. I still also with the curse, I'm bring back the yellow seats. I think that's where it stemmed from, and everything has just added on to the terrible. We got to just bring back the yellow seats. I know it doesn't work for the Celtics, but frankly, I don't care. We need the seats back. I don't give a crap. That's their problem for being green. I don't care. So,
do we remember when did they change the seats to black?
I don't know.
Was that
probably when everything started falling to shit. Maybe it was. Let me look at it.
I want to say it had been 15, or I'm trying to think of between 13 and 19. I'm trying to think of which collapse was it?
Which time when they blew up? What year?
It was in September of 2019. So right after they lost in the Stanley Cup Finals, they ditched the yellow seats.
Okay.
And we've had nothing but heartbreak since then.
Yeah, the seat color was the problem. That's why we lost in 2019. It was the seat color.
So maybe we just want to do let's just do all yellow, actually, instead of, let's try to switch it back and just do all yellow.
Maybe they change the ice in the court every game, so maybe they can change yellow seats and green seats for the Bruins and Celtics. Hey, I don't know.
Get some more people, give them more jobs. People are looking for jobs out there.
We're helping the economy. I mean,
there.
We're putting people to work.
Yeah, right? No, yeah, I almost wonder if Matthews is even in his inner moments kind of being am I the problem? Am I
Probably.
Wrong
Like,
with me?
I would like to think like after the game, he's like, damn, like maybe I do suck. Or
Yeah.
like, maybe I'm the issue here. Because even like Toronto, like they like forget like not being able to get past the Bruins. They really can't get past anybody. And like
Right.
it's been like that for like a couple of decades now. Like they made it to the second round for the first time in like I think since I was born in like 20 plus years, just a couple of years ago, whatever the hell that was. And I mean, I don't know what's going to happen this year because I don't know if they're going to have to face the Bruins in the playoffs the way that the Bruins season is going. But it's just leave it to him in big games. And even like when we were doing our roundtable when you were there, because we were talking about, or I think I was talking about how like Matthews like hasn't really done anything in the Four Nations. Like he's been good defensively and he was winning faceoffs, but like offensively, like this dude is a 69 goal scorer. Like I thought he was going to go out there and like be the team's leading scorer and be like an offensive machine, and he like really wasn't doing that. So that was a bit annoying. And then it was like it felt weird like cheering for Austin Matthews, but then like I felt like I got like a little glimpse into what it's like being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan and like watching him in the big games in TD Garden and being like he's gonna crumble. And he did.
It was just like inevitable. Like,
Yeah, he just I wish you could bet on like Austin Matthews
you're right.
crumbling on a big game at TD Garden. I would hammer that every single time Toronto comes to town.
Like literally the bet places would be like, oh shit. Like everyone
Yeah.
like
we're running Caesars out of business.
yeah, right. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. I also didn't see Zach Werenski being like the number one, honestly, like one of the top 3 players for Team USA. And now you're seeing his name being thrown around in the Norris conversation. They were talking about that today, actually, on What Chaos, about Zach Werenski's odds for the Norris going up and Columbus making the playoffs too. And I know we'll probably get into it, and kind of mentioned it earlier too, but I don't like the odds for Boston. I just, I don't like it this year.
And I know like while we're still in the Four Nations too, like I think it did a really good job of getting people excited for the Olympics now that players can go back. And like talking about like Team USA specifically, like they just played a healthy Team Canada. Like Cale Makar was back and they played them in overtime without Quinn Hughes, without McAvoy. People were already saying that the USA didn't bring all their best players. Like they didn't play Kyle Connor that game. Cole Caulfield was home. There was somebody else too that should have made the team. They brought like half of the New York Rangers team and they all sucked. Like all of them played like ass.
Yeah.
But it makes me excited because like everybody's talking about like this is the golden age of USA hockey and like the future is here. And it makes me excited too to look at some of the players coming through the college ranks too. But I thought it was really cool. I mean, I know it sucks that USA lost, and like we were saying, like if USA won, that was like one of the biggest hockey wins in my lifetime. And if they lost, which they did, then like who the hell cares? It's an all-star tournament. It doesn't mean anything. Like it's an all-star tournament. Yeah. Like I saw somebody tweet like congrats to Canada for winning the all-star game. Like, but if USA won, we would have been like waving flags and running through the
parades in the
stuff.
streets.
Yeah. It would have been like I mean, maybe it was a wreck in a negative way. Because my friend and I went to the game. We were just at Banners. And then after we saw that like Brad and like Mitch Marner and like a few other like from the Canadian team went to Banners after the game. And I was like, oh, you're telling me we couldn't have stuck around and just like, I mean, what would I have done? Nothing. I would have been like, yeah, like even though hours ago I was like, I hate Canada. Like, you know.
It was cool too to see. I think Laura and Zadorov were in the stands as well at the game, and I think either the Bruins or like the NHL put out a video of the two of them like buying a drink at the Garden, and I was at work and I didn't have my headphones in, so I couldn't hear the audio. But one of them was like ordering a drink, and the person working like. I think they recognized Laura, and Laura was like, "Who's that?" Pointing to Zadorov, and she was like, "I have no idea." I don't know. I think Laura was like, "That's my dad" or something.
Yeah. I think she said, "That's your dad," and he was like, he just went with it.
Which I'm like, they're both giants, but one is like a flaming ginger and one is not.
Yeah, and one has like a deep voice and a Russian accent, and the other one's from Louisiana.
Right, seriously.
Literally so polar opposites.
Yeah.
Gotta love adoption.
He takes after his mom. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but it was definitely exciting, and I think what did they say? Like that final game got like 9 point something like million viewers or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good to grow the game, as they say. But
Yeah.
it is exciting for the Olympics because, like, we will, fingers crossed, have like a stacked, healthy, like USA team to really get in there and like do some business.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Adam Fox can be the 7th defenseman on the Olympic team. He
Yeah.
can be there, but I don't need him on the ice for.
You know what? Let's
every
give
game.
Brandon Carlo a shot instead. Screw it. Let's
Yeah.
just
You know,
Connor Clifton.
yeah. Oh, you're gonna get no argument from me. You guy. No, but because I always see, I saw like a tweet that was going around too of somebody saying like the USA has always like tried to build a team.
Oh, this always happens with Mel.
does it?
Well, yeah, he'll come back in like 2 minutes, maybe less. But every episode, he drops connection.
I was with Jess when I was on Overtime Chicks. Mine did that.
It literally happened.
Yeah.
You were saying?
I was gonna say that the USA, like, they always try to like build like a proper hockey team. It feels like I was gonna say like Kyle Okposo was on the team, like, my God, for like 30 years he was representing Team USA as like a fourth liner or whatever. Meanwhile, like Canada is just like, let's just bring all the good guys. Like and I feel like the USA is in a spot now where like you can look at like the top 20 to 30 players in the NHL, and like a good chunk of those guys are American. So I feel like for the Olympics, I hope that they learn their lesson this time and like bringing, like, no offense, like Vincent Trocheck and like Chris Kreider, like there's better American players that they could have brought. No, hey, no disrespect. Like I said, dude, they did nothing. They did nothing. Please, Chris Kreider was good for 40 seconds in his first shift, and then was like invisible.
Crickets.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah. I'm just happy he didn't go off sides. But in 2026 for the Olympics, I'm hopeful that the USA just says like screw it and just brings the best players that they have, because now they can afford. They don't have to like grit and grind and like be 4 lines deep against Canada, because they're like, USA's loaded. Like, just bring all your dogs and hopefully win a gold medal.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
What else did I want to? I want to be a little controversial and only bring up the Charlie McAvoy injury only because recently we've also heard that, I'm going to like butcher his name, Joel Eriksson Ek from Minnesota, like got hurt now. And I'm pretty sure, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure like most of their medical staff was like Minnesota Wild too. And it's just, there's been a pattern of like Minnesota's medical staff kind of like flubbing up, some like injuries for like Kirill Kaprizov, for example, has been out for like however long now. And like, even when we got Pat Maroon, they kind of like messed up his like medical information or something like that. So like, it's a little, if I was us, I mean, I don't know what you can do in any degree, but if I was us, I'd be like, what the heck? Like, you totally blew this. Homie had to go to the hospital, like, because you guys, like, why'd you play him even in that next game? Like, I don't know. It gets me a little.
I was listening to, and I know, like, with a grain of salt, I was listening to Felger and Maz the day after that.
Oh, come on.
I know. But it was the sorry, Minnie's acting up. It was the Minnesota Wild's. it was their medical staff for sure.
Yep.
And I don't know what it is, because I've never seen this happen with any other teams in honestly any sport be this bad at their job to the point where like you have GMs of other teams talking about it as a real issue.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I know, and I don't know the validity of it, but Felger and Maz had brought up that Don Sweeney in the front office was considering voiding a part of Charlie McAvoy's contract because of it, and working something around his contract, not voiding it completely, but almost like an insurance claim against his contract because of that, because it wasn't their team doctors that were handling him, and if the injury's that serious and it wasn't their doctors, then there's a whole big legal battle over that kind of stuff. But I don't know too much about that. I just heard that on Felger and Maz. But it's kind of unfortunate, because if it did happen at team during the Four Nations with Team USA and the Minnesota Wild's medical staff handling that for some reason. I don't know why. Out of all 32 teams, you would pick them
Right.
with their track record.
Yeah.
Maybe I think Bill Guerin was the GM of Team
Yeah, I'm
USA.
pretty
so
sure the
it might-
Wild's GM was the GM of Team USA.
Yeah, so it probably has something to do with that. But if I'm Don Sweeney and Cam Neely, I'm pissed too.
Yeah.
And the only thing is they can kind of use this as a little bit of a scapegoat for the rest of the year, which
Yeah.
kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, first of all, I understand, like, if the Wild's GM's a GM of Team USA, why you would also bring in your own medical staff. But, like, if you're playing in Boston, why would you not just, like, have, like, the Boston Bruins medical staff, which is, like, widely respected around the league, just come and be the medical staff for Team USA? And like you said, there was, like, a lot of fishy stuff between, like, Pat Maroon's back, like, getting traded to Boston, and then they were like, wait, this dude's back is shot. Like, this, we didn't know this. Between what's going on with Kaprizov, Eriksson, Ek, between what happened with McAvoy, like, if he was hurt, there is no way he should have been playing that next game. And to the point where he had an infection so bad, he had to go to the hospital and get it scraped. I don't even know what scraping out an infection means. It sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Like, to the point where it was so bad they had to scrape it off of his body. Like, what the hell? And then like Matt Tkachuk too, like, he's like out for the year, and Brady Tkachuk is hurt too. Like, these are two other, like, half of Team USA is hurt. And like, and Sully and I were just talking about this the other day, that, like, I'm sure, like, if the Wild staff, like, wanted these guys to sit out or whatever, like, it's an exhibition game or, like, whatever you want to call it, but, like, these guys are, like, Stanley Cup champions. Jack Eichel and Tkachuk were on record saying that these are the two biggest games that this is the biggest game they played in their entire life.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sure, like, these guys probably wanted to play injured, but still, that's besides the point. Like, when you look at, like, the other history of other Minnesota Wild players, and it's just, like, so much malpractice. Like, I don't know if they're just like that. Like, I don't know if they hired vets, like, thinking that they can also work with human anatomy, or like if it's, like, strategic and they're like, let's hurt players on the Bruins because we're idiots. They're not making the playoffs anyways. But, like, I don't know what the hell it is, but like it doesn't make any sense. And it does interest me with if Boston does take some sort of avenue to try to get some money back with McAvoy or to hold the Wild accountable. I don't know how that whole thing works, but the whole thing to me, I mean, Team USA is like the only team out of the 4 nations that were represented that has injuries like this.
Yeah.
And like, you don't have to, like, connect the dots or be a detective to, like, oh wow, the Wild do this shit all the time. Like, maybe there's something going on up there in Minnesota.
Yeah, maybe they need new doctors. Go back to school. Figure it out.
Like, I don't get it. And even, like, Kaprizov, like, if, like, I was I think I was talking to my dad about it the other day, and I was almost, like, likening it to, like, what happened with Isaiah Thomas, like, 8 years ago, where when he was in the Celtics, he had a bad hip, and he was an all-star. I think it was his first time being an all-star, and the head coach of the East was Nick Nurse, who was the head coach of the Raptors, and those two teams were, like, going at it for the top seeds in the East. And Brad Stevens was a coach at the time and called Nick Nurse and said, Isaiah Thomas is going to be an all-star this year. Please, for the love of God, don't give him any heavy minutes because he has a bad hip.
Yeah.
And Nick Nurse played that dude like 40 minutes and hurt Isaiah Thomas's hip. He hardly played the second half of the season, missed the playoffs, was traded, ended his career. And, like, I don't know if the Wild are like, let's just, like, mess up these guys' careers. I'm not going to, like, throw that out there, but, like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I think the more likely situation is they just suck at their jobs because they're not helping their own players either.
They're just, like, lazy or something. They just, like, don't.
It's like they're putting all the charts upside down. Like, what do you, I don't know what
he's
doing.
Actually wicked healthy. He's good to go.
Wait, this dude, why is his legs are on his shoulders?
Yeah.
No, seriously though, it's like, it's weird. It's concerning. I'm like, what is going on? Like, you know,
it's definitely a little sus.
Yeah, definitely sus. So that, I mean, leading into that, it stinks because if I'm Charlie McAvoy or if I'm the Bruins, I'm just sitting for the rest of this season. I mean, why even? You figure Hampus is already, they confirmed him being out, which was also weird to me. I was like, this came out of nowhere. Like, did he, like, slip on some ice with this Boston weather and, like, re-injure it? Because they were just hyping his return, like, couple weeks ago. They were like, Hammer is like hammering up to come back, and now he's not. Like, I'm a little confused by that. But which maybe that's what he said too. Maybe he was like, we suck. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm getting married soon. Like, I don't want to do that. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, me and Mel were saying the same thing the other day on our pod, because it's I feel like there's been like 4 or 5 times this season where they've alerted the media, or either it's like a Bruins social media post or something, but saying he's about like 2 weeks away, like he's skating, he looks good. It's all, it's almost time for him to come back. And then that news comes out and he's done for the season. Which makes sense, honestly, in my mind. Like, if he's hurt, if he's not fully healthy, we've got about 22, 23 games left in the season. It's kind of a wash. You already know you're going to sell all these free agents that you have that are coming up. You're probably going to sell those pieces. And so why have him risk re-injuring whatever he has and just rest him until next season? Because I just don't see the purpose. If you're going to sell, and if you're going to most likely miss the playoffs, then don't bring back these guys from injury. Don't try to win games. Well, try to win games, obviously, but don't bring back guys early just to make the first round or just miss the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even if like McAvoy and Lindholm were both healthy, like I still don't have a ton of faith in this team. Like, I know like it helps the Bruins' chances that like Florida is missing Matt Tkachuk for a little bit of time, and like I don't know how long Brady Tkachuk is going to be out with Ottawa, but like they're still like not built to compete even if they're healthy. And with Hampus Lindholm, like it's been frustrating because like Sully said, like it felt like they're like, oh, he's coming. No, don't worry, don't stop asking, he's coming. Like they're teasing us on social media, we're hearing about it all over the place. He's skating, like he's ramping up, he could be back after 4 Nations, and then like nope, he's done for the year and he's shut down. So I don't know if there was like a miscommunication or if there was maybe a setback in like his rehab. And I said it on our pod the other day. I was trying to remember because I saw somebody tweet that there was somebody who kind of had like a similar case with Hampus Lindholm, and I see Ethan's in the chat. He was the one who corrected me on Twitter that I know Kevin Miller had a knee injury, and there was kind of like limping along, no pun intended, that he was going to come back, and then of course it ended up being a career-ending injury. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to be the same injury with Hampus Lindholm, but like knee injuries for defensemen, when there's, and especially a guy the size of Hampus Lindholm, when there's so much pressure on those knees with pivoting and skating and everything you have to do with quick twitch movements, like it's like that, it can be a scary injury and it can be one that can really derail a career. So I hope it's not, as bad as it could possibly be. And hopefully it's just, we're like waving the white flag and let's just get a better draft pick and he'll be back healthy next year, which is what I still think could be happening. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely frustrating, and it kind of like raises an eyebrow when they've been hinting at this guy coming back like every week for like the last 5 weeks. And then all of a sudden they're like, nah, he's done.
Right. And it's like, I think he's been out since like Monty was still around too.
Yeah. Has he even met the new coach? Right. Well, he was assistant, but yeah.
Like I forget. I don't even know when someone like brought that up, I feel like on Twitter, and they were like, yeah, he's been out since blank. Like that was when Monty was still around. And I was like, dang. I was like, what the heck? Like
he comes back to the locker room. He's like, hey, where's Monty? I gotta say hi. Where's Monty? I need to
Monty's
say hi.
got a little hair in his head now.
Hey, Monty.
Walker Lepresti or something, because no, but it's crazy though. Which like I don't blame them. Like, you know what I mean? Because it is to the point where it's like you really don't see them making the playoffs. And even if we do, we're getting swept the first round. We're not even making it to 5 games. We're making it to 4, and that's about it. So I don't know. I think it would be crazy, but I don't know what. I want to say it's like Bruins Network. They have a Twitter account, and they're pretty good about like clipping the AHL and those players. And he always clips Frederick, or I want to say it's pronounced Frederick, but I don't know. But then Brunet, I think, is his last name. Why not just like let's get crazy and literally just bring up like half of Providence, which stinks though because it's like Providence can make their playoffs most likely, so they'll want their people. But I'm also thinking, I'm not loving what we're seeing here. Like I don't, and that's like everyone is saying that. That's not like a big brain take or anything, but it's just like tough to see the same names every day, every night. And I'm like, you're not even, what are we doing?
Yeah. It's interesting too because we actually had a question for on our last episode asking if we would bring up guys like Lysell or Merkulov or if we would keep them in the AHL for to stay in a winning environment, fight for the playoffs, get into playoffs, and hopefully make a Calder Cup run. And I feel like it's obvious to say like no, they should be up in Boston. Like this is now their chance, especially now which is stupid because it should have been their chance at the beginning of the year.
Right.
But Merkulov's deal expires after this season. So if you put yourself into the shoes of Merkulov and you don't get any time, especially now in Boston with the deadline coming and guys most likely being shipped off, if you still don't get a shot in Boston, and he might even be at this point right now, but why would you re-sign here? Why wouldn't you either go back home, play in the KHL for a year, or just sign with another team that's actually going to give you a shot?
Right.
So I'm on board with you with that. And also too, if you're going to sell and if you're going to miss the playoffs in Boston, then why not bring up these young guys, let them get a shot. And if you lose, you lose. You literally have nothing to lose. If anything, at this point, you have more to gain by losing, which is so bizarre and goes against everything that I stand for.
Yeah.
But at this point, like, go for a high pick. Detroit's gonna buy, and Ottawa's gonna buy. Columbus is gonna buy, and those are the teams that you're fighting with for the wild card. So it's like, I don't want to say tank, but kind of tank. Like,
if we're gonna tank any year, might as well. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I could take a tank for 25 more games. That's fine.
It would be weird seeing the Bruins with like a potential lottery pick, but like if you like now that there's like injuries, we're probably going to see some more AHL players slide into the lineup, and especially if players get moved at the deadline, it seems like the Bruins are going to be selling. I think it's like the worst kept secret in Boston right now that the Bruins are asked and going to move on from some players, and hopefully that'll open the door for some of these guys in Providence to step in and get some minutes. And I understand like the benefits to them, playing in what is Nosek saying? Only get 4 call-ups unless an emergency call-up. That's too much for my brain to understand. But like I would love to see I would love to see those players get an opportunity to play in Boston. We've been asking for them to get minutes forever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's ironic that it takes the Bruins literally falling apart at the seams for these guys to finally get a chance. But like Merkulov has been the best player in Providence this year. Like Sully said, he's a pending free agent. Like, I don't know if that's considered doing right by the player by bringing him up to into the NHL and giving him some NHL minutes and letting the other teams see what he can do when he's playing against the big boys. But I think about that. I think about Lysell. Like, the guy's played 1 career game in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like, if they call up Max Jones or like anybody down in Providence and they don't call up any of these young guys, I know it's going to happen. Like it is so stupid at this point. Like if you're not expecting to win these games, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. Like Sully said, you don't want to say it out loud, but like it might be more beneficial to lose some of these games and improve your draft position. Then why not call up these players in Providence, probably lose these NHL games, but let them develop and see what you have. And even if they don't, like if you lose every single game or whatever, other than Merkulov, for players you have in the offseason, like if they play really well in Boston for those 20 games, maybe they improve their stock. That's a bit of a trade piece in the offseason. Like there's really no negatives that come out of the situation of calling these guys up and just giving them a shot at the end of the year if you're not playing for anything anyways.
I'll say too, like, I know I said it's probably really beneficial. Like it's beneficial for the Bruins to lose. That's looking at it objectively. But as a fan of the team and as like a fan of Boston, I can't root for them to lose. Like it just doesn't. My mind and my body doesn't work that way. But if we bring up Lysel and Merkulov and all these other younger guys, I do want to see them win. I want to see them contribute. I want to see them, be responsible in both zones. And if that leads to wins, then good.
Right.
But on the flip side, if they're still getting that ice time and they're still losing, then I'm fine with that. They're getting time, they're getting experience, they're getting those minutes.
Mhm.
And if they lose, they lose. It's kind of like a coin flip at this point. Like, are they going to win or not? I don't really care.
Yeah.
But like, let's just get these young guys up here and see what they got. This is their chance.
I like this comment too, because I actually like hadn't even thought about this, but he's probably right with that in the sense so that Matty P can go. If I'm Matty P, I'm kind of like not excited, but I'm kind of like, I'm still gonna play longer than all of you.
I still might get a ring this year.
Yeah.
He's
He'll
like
pop off down there too.
Yeah.
no, seriously, because he really like naturally, because he's talented, he like thrives down there because he should be up here, like as he is. But
Yeah.
What if Boston got crazy and just sent like Pasta down there? Like we're going all in for a Calder. Let's send everybody down there. Imagine like you're in the AHL, like you're in the Calder Cup finals, and like first line centers like Marchand, Pasta, and Zaka. You gotta go against
goalies. You're like reading it. You're like, no.
Swayman.
This can't be right. Did I get called up?
Yeah. Seriously though, that would be a hysterical like episode of like Shoresy or something. Like if they like something like that. Like I know that's not the same thing, but or a movie of some sorts, that would actually be, like kind of a hoot. But
it's interesting too. Like I wonder what like the players in Providence would prefer if they. I mean, like a lot like Lysel, he's played one game in Boston. Like he's basically played like 4 full seasons down there in Providence, or however long he's been there. Like, do you think he would rather stay there and keep fighting with the guys he's been fighting with all year? Or would he rather play 15 games in Boston? I don't know. But if like Nosik is saying, if they can play in Boston and then still go back and qualify and play for the Calder Cup, then I think you're hopefully going to see a lot of these guys get a chance to play in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's like weird because I don't remember. I've never experienced this type of struggle. Like, I mean, I don't remember like the last time I was young when they were really bad. Not really bad, but like struggles. And then what was that other year? When was the last time we missed the playoffs? Like 2016, 2017 or something?
2016, yeah.
And my world was like ending. I'm handling it much better this year. Throughout the season here I'm going to put this one up here too.
Davis.
I mean, because, you maybe got a point there.
It's the wrong form of there, Davis.
Oh, no, 100% Davis. But, like, at the same time, if the season's going to be a wash and they're eligible to play in the AHL, why not? Yeah. It's not going to affect them long term.
They kind of have the best case scenario right now, kind of. They're like, I mean, like, I would be ticked off. If I'm like Merkulov and Lysel, like, I'm ticked off that I'm like not,
What do we think?
Is that what he's talking about? Was that what he was talking about, or was he talking about Poitras going down?
No. I made a comment about I wonder if the players in the AHL would prefer to just stay with their team and ride it out in Providence and play the playoffs, or if they would rather come up to Boston for a little bit.
I can hear him saying that in my head. In his voice, I hear him saying that. He's right. He's right, though. He is right.
This is pretty true also, because I was actually talking with my mom about this the other day, that like when we lost 22-23 and even last year, it was kind of just like inevitable that this was coming. And you were just like, it feels like Don was kind of just like procrastinating in a way to start this rebuild, because naturally he had to go all the way in 22-23. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like he had to do, because realistically should have won the cup, but whatever, I'm clearly over that. But it has been like like trickling in, you know?
Yeah, it almost feels like it's like the Bruins like philosophy to just kick the can down the road. Like it's always been like that. Like when they won the cup in 2011 and then in 2013, like half of the team, you could probably say all, like the top 9 forwards and like a couple fourth liners had like no movement clauses and they had like ridiculous contracts. And I think it was like Chris Kelly had like a no trade clause. He's a third line center. Like, what the hell does he have a no trade clause for? And he was making more money than he should have at the time. I love Chris Kelly, no disrespect, but it
Is
was
that
just
why
like
he's still here?
probably yeah, he's still under contract. That's why they can't get him off the power play.
Oh, brother! Oh my
But
goodness!
they had like a good chunk of their team was making high salary with no movement clauses, and it kind of put Chiarelli in a tough spot. And then of course he leaves, Sweeney steps in, and they missed the playoffs in 2015, 2016, and they kind of had like a retool where they were able to ship off some of these contracts and attach some assets to them and kind of start fresh. And then now they have their aging core with like Bergeron, Krejci, Rask. I mean, Chara was like a shell of himself at that point, but they were doing what they could every year to just kick the can down the road. And they're trading draft picks and they're trading young guys to get guys in here to help get this core over the edge. And they did everything they could in 2019 and they lost the cup in 7 games and they kept kicking the can. And then in 2022, 2023, they had like literally the best team ever assembled, like the best regular season team of all time. And they sacrificed the next couple years of prospects of draft picks. I mean, and it was worth it because that team was insane. But like obviously they failed in the end, and now we're paying for it. And we always knew that this day would come. Like eventually, you're gonna keep kicking the can until you find a wall, and like we're at that wall right now. We got some cap space coming up. We got our own draft picks back, so there's stuff to look forward to. But it's just like in the moment right now with trade deadline in like a week, it's like damn, this really sucks.
And I feel like it stings a little extra too, because let's say we did win the cup in 23. I feel as if this would hurt just like a little bit less. But because they failed us, peace and love, that year, like it extra sucks.
I think that's exactly it, because that's something that Sully and I were saying a while ago too. Even if they win in 2019, like I would feel better right now, because like the fact that like the Bruins, they have the most regular season wins of any team in the NHL over the last decade. They have they've been like the most successful team in the NHL over the last like 15 years, and they have one Stanley Cup to show for it. We saw them lose in 2013. We saw them lose in 2019. We saw the best team in NHL history get bounced in the first round in 2022. And it's like, to think of the players that have come through here, the core that we had, the Hall of Famers, like, I mean, we still have Marchand. Like, to look back at the Hall of Famers, homegrown players that Boston has had, and to think we only have one Stanley Cup to show for that sucks. So if they win in 2019, I feel better today. If they win in 2022, 23, I feel much better today. But the fact that they blew both of those years, like, makes this so much worse. It's so much more painful because we have nothing, all those years of kicking the can down the road, and we have nothing to show for it.
I'm going to pop up this comment too, because I do think this is a good point as well here. Like, I'm going to do these both. Oh, I didn't know if I could do both comments at the same time. I'm still learning this thing here. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying too.
Thanks, Ethan.
Shout out Ethan. Of them kind of being able to use this whole injury thing with McAvoy and Lindholm being out for the whole season as kind of a scapegoat. And it's always made me wonder if Swayman got the season started off with dev camp and his contract was all settled, and that wasn't an entire distraction throughout the whole off season and leading up into the season. I wonder how much different this season would have been, because obviously we're not on the inside, but I have to imagine that's extremely uncomfortable for everybody.
Especially like when he did finally come back, like it's human nature kind of to literally have some like kind of like feel there,
Yeah, it's like, oh, what's up, Swayman? We've been here for a month, but welcome. Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean, like game 1 of the year, like the Bruins starting goalie was Korpisalo. Like as disastrous as his year has been, could you imagine how much more disastrous it would be if Korpisalo was the number 1 goalie all year and Swayman was still arguing about his contract?
Right. Oh my God.
That would be disastrous.
Yeah.
We'd be last in the league. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, Court.
Honestly, we might.
I mean, they just lost to the Ducks. They very well they might be.
I'm gonna put this one up here too. That's the big question. Is like, who the heck is gonna become our next like head coach? Because it's obviously not Joe. He's not gonna.
Yeah. It's definitely not going to be Sacco. I do wonder if they keep the trend of just promoting guys within the organization, which would mean Ryan Mougenel would be the next head coach. And I think we should probably get an outside voice at this point. That would probably help.
Yeah.
I'm on the and this is why it's so funny because like the Bruins better be an outsider. We will continue to have the same. That's exactly what I was thinking. I totally agree with you, Davis, because like it's funny like hearing like us and like other Bruins fans talk like the sky is falling when it's like the first time and the second time in like 20 years that we haven't made the playoffs.
Right.
But like I'm ready for like a fresh set of eyes in here. And for me, that includes like I want to see an outside coach, like Davis said. I would not mind seeing a front office change. And like I know like I feel like I have a differentiating opinion than most other people on this. Where like I don't like necessarily blame Sweeney and Neely for like the failures of the last 10 years or whatever, because like that team in 2019 should have won a Stanley Cup. That team was unbelievable. It's not Sweeney and Neely's fault that they crap their pants in the biggest game of their life. And then in 2022, 2023, that was literally like, that was the perfect team.
Yeah.
And like the players at some point have to be held accountable. And they were the ones who went out there in the first round and lost to the Florida Panthers. And like that team, man, they were so deep defensively. They had Tyler Bertuzzi on their third line. Like the team was insane. They had Olmark and Swayman. Like that team's going to be looked at for years to come at how good that roster was. So I can't necessarily blame them for pushing all their chips into the center of the pile and going for it with those teams.
Yeah.
But we're at the point now where like it's just like it's felt like the same philosophy. They can't develop young guys. They have trouble turning some of these first or higher draft picks into impact players. And like they're drafting, like I saw somebody say the other day, like just take the best player on the board. Like don't draft in the first round and be like, yeah, this is going to be a good fourth line center for us someday. Like, no, like go. And I'm not saying that's what they go into the draft thinking, but like, it's frustrating. So I wouldn't mind seeing like a new front office coming in, a new head coach from the outside coming in and seeing what they can do with some cap space and some money moving forward. Because I'm just getting a little sick of this Bruins experiment that's been the last 10 years and we have no cups to show for it.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with all that too. Like if you really look back at the last, however long Don Sweeney's been the GM for, however long Cam Neely's been there with them, we've been a very successful team. We've been, for as long as I can remember, top 3, top 4 team in the Atlantic Division. Like Mel said, we've been the winningest team in the NHL over the last decade. And it's just at some point, you have to put the fault on not winning on the team that's actually on the ice that's supposed to get it done.
Yeah.
Like Don Sweeney and Cam Neely have built some amazing teams. They can't really draft, and that's a very fair criticism.
Yeah.
But the product on the ice has been really, really good. The team itself just can't get it done. And I did want to say something too before we go to the next thing, but I think the situation that we're in right now compared to 2016 is a little more pressing and a little more scary, because in 2016 you still had Tuukka, you still had Bergeron, you still had Krejci,
Chara.
you still had Chara. Like you still had this wicked good core.
Yeah.
But right now you have, and that core was proven to be a winning core too. With this core now, you have a freshly signed Jeremy Swayman, his first year as a number 1 starter. You have Charlie McAvoy, who we're kind of finding out can't really quarterback a power play, which as a number 1 defenseman you kind of need. You have an aging Brad Marchand whose contract is up after this year. And outside of that, obviously you have Pasta. But you have nobody in the pipeline. You have nobody. You don't have any picks. Luckily, you have your first round pick this year, which hopefully continues to get into a better position as the year goes on.
Yeah.
But you don't really have a bright future, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It's like a little bit, it kind of feels like, I jokingly said for like a while that we were going to turn into like the Anaheim Ducks. And now I'm like, oh, shoot. Like,
oh, no, you manifested it.
Yeah, a little.
I can manifest bad things, but I can't manifest anything. It's like, that's upsetting. That's upsetting. But I don't know. Yeah, it's like eerie a little bit. What's gonna be the next 5 years? Like, what's it gonna look like?
Yeah, it's a really important, like, this is a really important offseason for the Bruins. And like, there's a lot of teams, like, you can for sure expedite your rebuild process if you draft right and if you make smart trades. Like, if, like Sully and I have been saying, if they decide to trade Marchand, like, you have to nail that trade and you have to get a return back that's going to help you long term. And like, they can't have another whiff. And like, if they trade Marchand for like a couple like guys in their early 30s and some more bottom six guys, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah.
And like, there's like, they have a, like, this trade deadline is big. I don't remember the last time the Bruins have approached a trade deadline as sellers. So I'm curious to see what kind of direction they're going to take in terms of who they're moving and what kind of players are going to be coming back. And I'm really excited for this offseason to see how they're going to spend this money and what they're going to do in the draft. I know I've been seeing people talk about, it's weird, like it's weird thinking or seeing tweets of people talking about like who the Bruins, if they sneak into the top 10, like, I'm like, the Bruins, what? And like, it's like, there's a realistic opportunity they could be like between like 10 and 15. So it's a different kind of off season, I think, as a Bruins fan, because I think for once we're thinking about the long-term picture here as opposed to what's happening right now.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point too. And like, it's strange, like a little bit.
Yeah. And Ethan's comment too, he just said about after the Olmark fumble, I have zero hope and confidence in a good return if we were to trade Marshy. That's what terrifies me is like Sweeney has done. I think Sweeney's done a good job of like picking up people and like finding maybe players who aren't so highly valued on their teams and turning them into quality like middle six, bottom six guys. But like when it came to Olmark, I think I said this on the last show, like, I wish that they would have gotten like a more of an impact player when you're moving a player like Olmark to a team in the Atlantic Division that needs a goalie instead of like, no disrespect, but Mark Kaslik coming back. Like, come on. Like, I can't. I remember when the trade happened, like everybody was like, what else? Like, there has to be more than Kaslik and Korpisalo, and I think it was a first coming back. Like, there has to be. And that's like, oh yeah, Nosek disagrees. But that's why, like, I'm worried about the Marchand deal to see what kind of package you're going to get coming back and who they're going to be asking for.
Well, when you think about Marchand, though, I mean, and this is the thing that's going to worry me because I feel like people who, how do I word this, are expecting a ton for Marchand. Like he's on his last, he's on the last year of his deal. He's 37. He's had like 6 surgeries in the last 2 years. He's slowing down production wise. I think if you're gonna send him to a contender, maybe just a first round pick and kind of like a meh prospect. And it'll be like hope in the contending team's eyes, maybe like a 27th to 28th overall pick in the first round, which is fine. But like when people see that, I think that they're gonna raise their pitchforks and be all pissed off, but it is what it is, and that sucks. I feel like I'm a Debbie Downer tonight. I don't know why I'm doing this.
It's the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely rational with thinking for Marchand. Not sure what his value is. I mean, it's clear like his production has been dropping the last couple seasons, which is expected with his age, his injury history. Right. But like again, for a team trading for Marchand, you only need him for 28 games. Like you're trading for him for the playoffs, and he's a known playoff beast. He's a leader in the locker room. I mean, if you can trade a for a former Stanley Cup champion, see you, Sully, a a tenured captain, and somebody who's a proven playoff performer, like there's going to be value in that. And I'm curious to see what his interest is like around the league, because they've been saying too, like Sweeney's phone apparently has been ringing off the hook
Yeah.
about Brad Marchand. I just don't know exactly who they're offering, but I guess we'll see.
I have a hot take. I came forward about my dislike for Marchand at the beginning of this season, and that's like the hottest take ever, which I don't think it should be. Like, I think if people kind of just like, you know how they say like there's like, what's that saying, like rose-colored
glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll need to go take them off and kind of like reevaluate. I'm like not trying. I'm trying to like be a little bit nice here, but I wouldn't mind losing him in general. I'm good. See ya. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know this is gonna take so many people off, but I don't care anymore.
You don't like Marchand?
No. Nope.
Why not?
Wait. How come?
Okay. Peace and Love did not want him to become our captain, like at all. I
was with you on that.
I just like, and I know we were spoiled with Chara and Bergeron, and I think he was also extremely spoiled with them. So I really don't think.
Who did you want as captain?
I don't even know. I just didn't. Honest to God, I didn't know, but I like did not want him. I honestly probably, you're gonna laugh at me for this, I would probably rather Carlo be our captain. I don't care about like, I don't, he does not have what it takes to be a good captain. I'm not going to blame everything on, I'm not going to blame our downfall on him being our captain, but I'm also not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Getting a little brazen tonight, but
I like it though.
I don't know. I just think people are so obsessed with Marchand, and I could get it like maybe 10 years ago, and not even his play level, like not even like his production, just like there's just something. And like Peace and Love, I've met this man like many a times, and I just like, I don't know. It's just not, he's not it for me. He's never been it for me. And so it really, like, it does tick me off, especially being in such a minority of feeling this way. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know that everyone online is like, you know, loves him to pieces. Like, they're like, mwah, smooches all the time. And I'm just like, it's like infuriating a little bit because people won't even like think about it either. They're like, no, he's perfect. He's basically like the Boston Pope. And I'm like, can we like settle down? Like, I don't know.
Well, the Pope and Marchand have something in similarity because their time is in critical condition right now. I'm just
oh my God.
Yeah. So
no. But like I was in the same boat. Like when Bergeron retired and the conversation was going around about who was going to be the next captain. I think the probably three obvious choices were Marchand, Passer, and McAvoy.
Right.
But my sleeper was always Carlo because one, he's the player rep for the players union for the team. He's reliable. He's steady. Bruins have always historically kind of leaned on their defensemen to be captains. I didn't think McAvoy was ready. So I did. My dark horse was Carlo, but I honestly would have rather them just roll without a captain for a year, maybe.
I've said that before as well, where I'm like, we've seen it. Like, we don't have to. I figured it would be Marchand because it just seemed like it was a given with like the trickle down effect, like where it was just like you knew Bergeron was going to be the next captain. So then it felt like they had to just go with the obvious again. Like,
yeah, and it's funny. It's funny too because you're so right. Like, if you even mention that, like, obviously we're all on Twitter. If you even mention that, you're gonna get a whole swarm of people calling you really mean names.
Which-
last week,
Oh well.
yeah, which is fine. Like I literally I used to care. I could not care less anymore.
It's
Yeah.
not.
But
It's like,
yeah, it just rolls off our shoulders because like it's just my opinion. Like if people disagree, then they disagree. I won't be upset.
right.
I think
but
Carlo. Sorry.
No, I'll go really quick. Really quick. I put
Really
that
quick.
article out about pasta being the only untouchable, and I had like a handful of people like quoting it and just saying, like I said, really mean things, and like
You like blew
Yeah.
up. You blew
Plenty
up.
of subtweets too.
Yeah.
yeah, couple, yeah. We won't. Yeah,
We won't
we don't
dive
have
into
to talk about that.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
I think I know because Sully, you had been saying a while ago when like you said when Bergeron retired, you had been saying back then that you think Carlo was a dark horse, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like I think you're kind of stupid. Well, I get it now. Like he's a good leader, like you said, with him being the player rep. I think he's prime assistant captain material when Marchand inevitably and oh my god, eventually I'll just change the word eventually retires. But I think Marchand was a great pick for captain. I think he was really the only pick for captain when the time was up. I know I was between McAvoy and Marchand, and I was siding for McAvoy because, like Sully said, the Bruins historically have always had an impact defenseman for the majority has always been the captain of this team, or at least a leader. And also too, like I didn't really want to go through the motion. At the time Marchand was like 35, so he's going to be captain for like 3 years, retired. Then you got to go through this whole song and dance again. Like let's just screw that. Like they just give it to McAvoy. But honestly, like after watching McAvoy the last couple of years, his play's been really up and down. He's sucked in the playoffs. I'm with Sully. I don't think he's really captain material yet. It doesn't mean he can't be someday, but I just don't think he's ready for that responsibility right now, let alone 2 years ago. But like Brad Marchand, he's like top 5 in every single Bruins statistic. He's like top 5 in games played. He's right up there in goals and assists. He's the only Bruin with a Stanley Cup ring. He's the oldest player in the team. He's respected around the league. Believe it or not, even though every single fan of every single other team hates him, he's won an Olympic gold medal. And especially too, like because another thing too that Sully and I have been talking about previously was like, it's almost like Bergeron's gone. So it's almost like we're in those changing of the guard years where like the old era is gone, or the era that we all grew up watching. And now like we're stepping into the new era of the Bruins led by Swayman, McAvoy, and Pasta. And it just felt like, it would have been it's less of a culture shock still having Marchand around here leading this team, and then having him hand off, because it's like being the captain of any team, especially in hockey, is like a massive deal. But I feel like it carries a different responsibility when it's an original 6 team, and it's a heavy weight on your shoulders. And I just really don't think there's anybody else in the team 2 years ago who was more qualified to do that. That doesn't mean that like looking at this team this year, like I haven't been like, damn, like maybe like the faults of this team, nothing's going right. They have no identity. They're not consistent. I've been seeing Ty Anderson's list of Bruins games, goals scored against the Bruins in the last 2 minutes of the third period. Like there's been times this year I'm like, damn, like I do question his leadership at times, but there's still, I don't think there's anybody, me personally, I would rather have captain of this team than Marchand. And I think that the value that he has in the locker room as a leader is giving him a little boost of trade value as well, given his 37 years of age and having like metal hips.
I will say too, the Bruins, outside of the like 1925 season, which like we can throw that one away, there's only been 1 year in the history of the Bruins where they did not have a captain.
Wow.
It was 1969, 1970. They had 3 alternate captains. Do you guys have any guesses?
What year?
1969, 1970.
No, I don't have a single guess.
No?
I don't even know who's on the team then. 69. Bobby Orr?
No, but
No, really?
nope, not Bobby.
Bobby
Orr.
Johnny Busick.
Johnny Busick's one of them.
Let's go.
I'm trying to think way back then.
Who are some old heads?
It's honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Why am I like
one of them is one of the greatest goal scorers of the franchise.
Phil Esposito.
Espo. And then the other one is Ed Westfall.
Oh,
which I don't know
tip of
who
my
that
tongue.
is.
Yeah,
Old Ed,
Yeah,
dude.
oh.
Come on.
Good old Eddie.
Yeah.
Okay. See, like, I wouldn't have hated that, though. I wouldn't have hated if we ran with, you know.
Yeah.
I
But
wouldn't-
so
Go
with
ahead.
with Marshawn though, Sully, like, are you only saying that the Bruins should have gone without a captain like now with hindsight, or because at the time, like we were talking about who should be captain, and you were pretty adamant that it should be like Marshawn or Carlo.
Yeah.
And like I think now, like, it's easy to look back and be like, damn, like these last 2 seasons haven't gone as planned. Maybe you do question Marshawn's leadership a little bit, and maybe they should have rolled with a couple of A's.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think at the time I was probably, I mean, we could go back and listen because now I'm curious. But I think at the time I was saying like either Carlo or Marshawn, and probably Marshawn because of how much he's given the organization, how much of a staple he is within the community, the locker room, the organization as a whole. Like he did earn it in a weird way. He did earn it. And it would have been weird if they picked a younger guy over him.
Yeah, that for sure.
I was gonna say,
yeah, that's my thing.
Like for Marshall, like if they went with, like, forget picking somebody over him, if they just went with no captain, like wouldn't that be a massive like slap in the face if you were Brad Marchand?
Maybe.
Like they did that to, didn't the Sharks do that to Joe Thor? I think they took his C away and they just went with a bunch of A's.
They did.
And that was disrespectful as hell. But like for Marchand, like he's a guy who's been, and it's an impossible task to follow. Like literally the only person who could have fought, like, forget Bruins, like the only leader I can like confidently say who could have followed in the footsteps of Chara was Bergeron. And the Bruins were lucky enough to have him. And now you got to have somebody else follow like the footsteps of those two guys. Like, good luck. Unless like Jesus Christ is on the Boston Bruins, nobody is going to be able to. And even he probably couldn't do it. We've all seen the Bergeron candles. Like, I don't know if like it's a hard task to take up. And I think that just adds to the weight of being the captain of the Bruins. And like, if it was like, I really don't think McAvoy would have made for a good captain. Then again, doesn't mean he won't in the future, but I don't know. It was a hard task for Marchand, and like we're now, the way that these last 2 seasons have gone out, like it was a little, even then it was a little harder than I thought it was going to be for him.
Yeah. Do we want to end it here or anything else do we want to hit up anything? Everyone's like, wow, what a blunt ending. No, but we can give some food for thought for everyone, because I think everyone really should do this and like discuss more and actually like think about things.
Yeah, I think like at the end of the day, I just think this is the time for the community as a whole to be rational. I think like I've seen people dumping on Sacco, and I'm like, guys, like Joe Sacco, Jim Montgomery, I don't know, Patrick Waugh, what's his name? John Cooper. You could have anybody. It's not going to make a difference. Like this is the team. Like it's the team. Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's going to be an interesting time, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of overreaction on Twitter. But it is what it is. It's going to be shitty for a little bit, but we kind of have to go through this to get back to the top where we will once again be.
Exactly.
I'm kind of excited to, this is going to sound so mean, but I'm kind of excited that we'll suck for a little bit because all the fake fans will be like, I'm leaving. And I'll be like, I'm here going on 25 years.
Since we were here for the Backus and Bolesky years. You can't do anything to hurt us.
I just like, that's the only positive that I'm taking out of it, is that I don't have to deal with, like, I'm going to be really mean here, some imbeciles that are just like, you don't get it. You shouldn't even be here right now. Like, please. But that's the only plus.
Yeah.
Well,
and like,
no, go ahead, Mel. Sorry. My bad. For
the Bruins too, like we've been like unbelievably spoiled here for like my entire, like I don't remember the Joe Thornton years because I was like 5, but pretty much like since I could start like recognizing like what I'm watching, the Bruins have been really good. And like they've missed the playoffs like once that I can remember as being a Bruins fan in that 2015-2016 year. And like they weren't going to be like 100-point. They weren't going to be a 100-point team, playoff contender every single year until the end of time. Like this was going to come eventually. Eventually, they were going to struggle, and there was going to be a rebuild. And Sully mentioned it in our last episode too. Like think about the Detroit Red Wings who made the playoffs like 25 years in a row, and now they've missed it for like I think 8 years in a row or something. Like hopefully it's not that long, but like the Bruins have pieces now that those Red Wings teams didn't have when they were doing their early start of their rebuild. But like brighter times are ahead. Yeah, sorry. Brighter times are ahead. And there's things to be excited about. It's just, it feels weird because like the Bruins really haven't been in this position for a long time. I know there's probably some like old heads who are like, oh, like the 80s or like whatever, like talking about like decades ago. Yep. And I think it's amplified too by like the fact that like, man, like we just got over like Tom Brady leaving and the Pats suck, and now like the Bruins are starting to dip and like the Red Sox suck.
Like
everyone. It's like damn, everything except for the Celtics. It's like damn, everybody at once is just starting to fall off. But all joking aside, like I know like in terms of rebuild or like whatever is coming next, like the Bruins already have. We've said this enough times. The three most important parts, I feel like, when they have their franchise player in Pasta, they have their franchise defenseman in McAvoy, and they have their franchise goalie in Swayman. All three are, I know not everybody agrees about McAvoy. All three are signed long-term. All three are under 30. Just find the right pieces to go around them, and let's roll.
Yeah.
Mel, you mentioned, like, hopefully we don't go through an 8-year playoff drought in Boston. If that's the case and we miss 8 years of playoffs, I will be 35 by the next time they make the playoffs. That scares me. That scares me.
You'd have like a kid thing. You'd be like, in my day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, isn't that the age you can run for president?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
My first order of business is playoff hockey in Boston.
That's
my first executive order.
You could be president, and the Bruins would make the playoffs the first time in almost a decade.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll be telling my kids, I'll be like, back in my day, you should have seen this guy, Patrice Bergeron. So good.
Is that? Oh, I was gonna say that would be 2032, which is also the year that asteroid's supposed to hit the Earth. But I was wrong. I can't do math. It would be 2033.
Damn. So maybe we won't even be around.
We might not. Last year could have been the last time we'd see the Bruins in the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me hate the Panthers even more.
Yeah, right. Seriously. Anything else you guys wanna? I feel like we were kind of a Debbie Downer this episode, but you know what? We needed that little Twitter, a little like
little therapy session.
A little slap. A
little bit.
Wake up.
Yeah, right. So who knows what's going to come these next, however, 20 plus games. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to use the word excited very lightly, but it's kind of exciting just to see how the year is going to end just a little, even though I'm probably too hopeful, like, because I'm hoping people are going to come up, and that's probably not even going to happen. But it's just like, it is a different perspective. It's been a different season. So it's kind of like, not good, but different. So,
yeah. I was kind of going to say the same thing too, before we close up. It's kind like, obviously it's going to suck if they do make the playoffs or sorry, if they don't make the playoffs.
Kind of both. It will suck.
Right. But at the same time, like the fan in me is gonna be very interested to see how they navigate this, what they do, how they rebuild, and what direction that they go in. Because for me personally, that's gonna be a fun thing to watch. Like, are they gonna trade up for a higher pick? Are they gonna trade some major pieces? Like, how are they going to steer this ship back in the right direction? And to me, that's just as exciting to watch. Maybe not just as exciting, but it's exciting for me to watch.
Yeah.
It's something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Nosik's tweet, Sully? He's making fun of you for being old. Or his
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought he tweeted it out.
No.
Put me on blast.
He said, Sully, why? Why did you say that about 8 years from now? Why?
Sorry, no second.
Oh man.
Well, you guys can plug your stuff one more time actually before I wrap it up here.
Cool. Me? All right.
Yeah,
You can find our podcast, Something's Bruin on Twitter at Bruin something, no G at the end. We're on all listening platforms. We actually just dropped an episode this morning. We covered the McAvoy injury, the Lindholm injury, deadline. What else did we talk about, Mel? We talked about what players would have cats and dogs.
Yeah. We also, I don't know, I just found out the other day when I was doom scrolling on TikTok that we're now posting on TikTok as well. I don't know what's our TikTok thing? Kind of. I mean, it's something. But yeah, we're
I don't
on
even know what our TikTok name
everywhere at Something's Bruin except for Twitter. We're at Bruin something no G. I'm on Twitter at Nick Melanson _ and Sully is at _ Mike Sullivan. If you wanted to follow us on TikTok, you're not obliged to. It's just like usually like a graphic with like the worst song you've ever heard behind it, but it always makes me laugh because I never like I'll be on because Sully posts them and I'll be like at like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like doom scrolling on TikTok and I'm like, oh wait, this is my account. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I'm an old man. I haven't quite figured out TikTok yet. I don't know how it works.
You'll get there.
The TikTok, yeah.
The TikTok.
Use those Vine skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone make sure to check them out. They've been one of my favorite podcasts, not just saying that because they're here, but I have really liked them because I joined this whole like hockey Twitter world like a couple years ago now, so definitely go check them out. And again, this podcast is brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. I don't know why I can never say that. But you can find them on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the things at BSEN _617. You can find my podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Chirping on Causeway. I think my Twitter is Causeway Chirps because of that little 15 character limit thing. Mm-hmm. And you can find my personal Twitter at Front Frederick. Follow me to see if that has to change soon. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thank you to everyone who came to chat with us and stuff. And hopefully we'll have some, I don't even know. I was going to say some good games coming up, but I
doubt it.
Good trades.
Yeah.
For March 7th, that'll be a day. So
yeah.
And yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to hit the end now.
Peace.
Bye.
Oops.
What happens after a Boston Bruin win as Jeremy Swayman and Lena Zolmark have their trademark celebration.